first.
Any Falcons fan with a brain knows that it's over. I don't know. We've been through this for years and years, and then more years on top of that. And then, you know, for the past 7 years, you know, I wasn't really thinking that, you know, the team was going to do something. But this year, I thought it was going to be a little different, you know, considering the fact that we made a lot of off-season moves, you know. I felt like, you know, with a new coach coming in, and Raheem Morris, you know, at first it seemed like things were going well. The team loved playing for him and everything, and the chemistry was looking great. You know, we had Kirk Cousins and stuff. He took us to 6-3, and things were looking great. We were on top of the world. And then out of nowhere, we're sitting here at 8-8, you know, wondering like, you know, like what went wrong. And it's a lot of things that went wrong. I can tell you what went wrong. We didn't bench Kirk Cousins sooner enough. I think we would have been in a good seat.
But he was playing good.
When was the last time we played good?
Okay.
Because the man ain't throw a touchdown since we played the Aints in New Orleans.
Okay.
And that was how long ago? A minute ago.
Okay.
So then, on top of that, on top of us not benching him soon enough, and then you got Young Waku getting hurt, which doesn't matter too much because he was missing kicks before he got hurt anyway. So that was weird. Then, you know, we got Raheem Morris. I call him Rasheem Morris because he really had us thinking that this team was going to be different when it wasn't. And, you know, he's just a coach that doesn't understand clock management.
So you mad at the coach?
I'm mad at a lot of people. He's had a head coaching job. He had a head coaching job with the Buccaneers way back in about, I think, 2006, 05 or something like that. He did poor because that was his first time being a head coach. He had some time, you know, with the Rams and stuff. And you know, he was our interim head coach after we fired Dan Quinn in 2020. And so, you know, he got another little shot, and he actually won the rest of those games with his interim stint. And then, you know, he come back to Atlanta. I'm thinking, okay, you know, he's had all these, you know, experiences and stuff. Things would be better this time around. He would at least know when to call a timeout, you know, because that's the mistake he did in Washington. He didn't call a timeout when we got the first down with like 30-something seconds left, and we could have won the game and got a closer field goal, and we wouldn't be sitting here talking about this game right now in this manner. I'll be sitting here smiling and happy because, you know.
So wait a minute, let me get it straight. Young Waku is hurt. You want him gone. You want Kirk Cousins gone. And you want Raheem, the coach, gone?
Yeah. I mean,
okay.
I mean, most of us didn't really want Kirk Cousins. That wasn't even our first choice. We wanted Justin Fields or Russell Wilson. Obviously that didn't go our way. Kirk Cousins had us fooled in the first half. I want Raheem going because he just doesn't know what he's doing, obviously. I mean, the average Madden player on the video game knows how to call a timeout better than he does. I don't understand how I feel like I'm a better head coach.
Well, you know, Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn is up for the job.
And then our GM, Terry Fontenot, I call him Terry Fitton because that's what he acts like he's on when he's making these moves and stuff. And you know, he just has the whole fan base fooled. You know, I'm not with it no more. I want him gone. You know, the organization just continues to be a joke, and this was supposed to be the year we go back to the playoffs, and the frustrations continue. And so, yeah, you know, none of us are happy. You know, in the Falcons fan base, and for you to say that. I don't know why she's telling me that we still have a chance.
They're still in it. Mathematically, you're still in it. Now, it's your fault that you've been ragging on the Aints all season.
No, it ain't.
Now you need the Aints to go out there and play their butts off.
I'm not a coach. I'm not a GM.
But still, all y'all been ragging, and now y'all need my Aints to say that. Anyway,
I'm a fan that had a rightful reason to believe that we would even be in the playoffs this season, just like everybody else. And you know, and for you to say the Aints will even win the game and help us get in the playoffs. It's the same. It's like just like the Packers winning for y'all to get y'all in the playoffs. It's not happening, Mom. You know the Packers will sabotage y'all.
They tried hard, but we wanted to beat the Vikings. They came close.
Anyway, but you know, I can go on and on about my frustration with this team, but I can just do the stats. You know, we lost 24-30. If you don't know what happened, you know, just keep a long story short. The Falcons played a decent game to the end. The defense wasn't looking that great to the end, but they made stops when they needed to make stops and put us in position to win. But you know, of course, this loss falls on our coach and our rookie Michael Penix looked good. He only threw one pick. He threw a touchdown. He went 19 for 35 with 223 yards. Bijan had 17 carries for 90 yards and 2 touchdowns. Drake had 7 receptions for 106 yards. And Jane Daniels on the other side went 24 for 36, 227 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception. And he also had 127 yards rushing on our defense. And our former Falcon, Olamide Zaccheaus, had 8 receptions for 85 yards and 1 touchdown. And he was just torching us. Like, I'm pretty sure he had this game circled on his schedule for some reason. He could have gave us the dub. I mean, y'all already made the playoffs. I don't know why Zaccheaus couldn't do us a favor, because he knows what it's like being a Falcon. He knows how much we struggle. And seasons like this are just not new, and I'm just disappointed in myself for allowing this team, to make me believe again for the first time since 2017. I'm going back to not believing.
So I guess the mat in the bedroom ain't gonna flip over.
No. Oh, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I don't think I've ever mentioned it on here. But for those of you who don't know, I told some of you, but around the 2020 season, when Matt Ryan was starting quarterback, not because of him, but in this game he did throw 4 picks, and this was against the Chargers in LA. I got this Atlanta Falcons mat that I turned over, not because of Matt Ryan, but because of the team as a whole. I was just tired of the lack of effort. I was tired of the mediocrity. I told myself I'm not flipping this mat over until this team gives me a reason to do it. And I thought this would be the season that I did it, because I thought we were going to the playoffs. But no, I'm still sitting here with a turnover mat. And it's crazy, you guys, that's how much of a committed fan I am. I have not seen the other side of this mat in 4 years. Well, 5 years now.
And it's still not over. But okay, I digress. It's still not over. You got to play your schedule.
It is what it is.
Okay. Well, on the other side, we was already in the playoffs. That wasn't in jeopardy. This past game against the 49ers was meaningless. The only way this game would have mattered is if we would have tied, which, that doesn't happen so much in the NFL. So I wasn't even worried about this game. I didn't even really watch. Kind of was in and out because it was meaningless. After the Vikings beat Green Bay, that made our game against the 49ers somewhat just playing the game on our schedule. But, in Dan Campbell fashion, he didn't rest the players. He went in there with the starting team, and that's what, and we do need to practice, so I guess I see it both ways. In the beginning, I was a little like, okay, we just don't need to get nobody else injured. We need to beat Minnesota. We need to come with, the team that we have and stay strong. But Dan Campbell, hey, that's why they pay him the big bucks. He plays the team, and I get it. They need to practice. They need to stay in their rhythm, so they did well. Jared Goff went 26 for 34. He had 303 yards and 3 touchdowns. Gibbs, our part of, Sonics and Knuckles, Gibbs is still doing his thing. He had 18 carries and 117 yards and 1 touchdown. J-Mo stepping up and filling that gap where it's needed. He had 5 receptions, 78 yards and a touchdown. So, we had a little trick play in there and everything. And the Lions, we was clicking on cylinders. They were just having fun. Next week we'll determine who will be the king of the South? Who will be the NFC North, not the king of the South, the NFC North champions and the top of the NFC as we play the Vikings. That's for all the marbles. We're both in the playoffs, but we're just playing now for seed. So if we beat the Vikings, we're the number 1 seed and the NFC North champions. We lose to the Vikings, we are the 5th seed, and vice versa for them. So, yeah, that's our thing. So, and they do have a chance. Don't let him fool you. They do have a chance. All they need to do is to beat the Panthers and for the Saints to beat the Buccaneers.
I talked to 8 fans yesterday. They laughed at me when I said, do us a favor next week.
They don't
think we have a chance. Okay.
Anyway. Well, and as for the, and I did lose my train of thought, the 49ers. Brock Purdy went 270. He had 377 yards and 3 touchdowns. He went 27 for 35. Purcell had 8 receptions, 141 yards and 1 touchdown.
It's okay to lose your train of thought. The Falcons do it all the time.
Okay, I'm not even a Falcon fan, and I'm sympathizing with them more than not. And I'm still Falcon fan. I believe in y'all. I believe that you're gonna make the playoffs. And I don't like the Buccaneers because they handed us one of our 2 losses, so I'm not,
When they tell us we're eliminated after Tampa Bay win next week, I'll just look at you.
Okay, we're going to see. But let's get to the rundown for Week 17 rundown. So, I don't know, I guess you got to follow me. As we did the Ravens, let's let's start with the Chiefs. I think they
Yeah.
played on earlier. They had the early game. They played on Christmas.
Yeah.
They played on Christmas.
And those Christmas games were terrible.
They were terrible. I was actually pulling for the Steelers, as everybody knows. We're not together. That's one thing we agree on. Neither one of us are Chiefs fans. So I was pulling for the Steelers, but they fell short to the Chiefs, 29-10.
Yeah, they definitely fell short to the Chiefs, 29-10. But you know, Mahomes, he went 29 for 38, 320 yards, and he had 3 touchdowns, a clean game, no interceptions. Travis Kelce had 8 receptions for 84 yards and a touchdown. And the Chiefs did what they had to do. You know, they're going to the playoffs, and we knew that a long time ago. But Russell Wilson went 23 for 37, 205 yards and 1 pick. And Kansas City's pass rush was just too much. Even without, you know, one of the best players on defense, Chris Jones. I mean, it was just too much for the Steelers to handle. And the Chiefs went in there and got it done, you know, with a pretty astounding win.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it was more than a field goal and a touchdown.
Yeah.
So, go ahead, Chiefs. Anyway, next we had the Ravens. I don't even know if the Texans realized they was even in a football game. Did they even realize that y'all had a game today? It didn't seem like it as the Ravens beat them 31, was it to 2?
31-2, just a safety. Just a safety. And just a safety. Safety's pretty impressive to get too. Usually when I see a team get a safety, it seems like it's half the time the winning team that gets one.
Right.
The losing team getting a safety is pretty funny in this scenario, considering it's pretty impressive to get one. But the Texans went down hard as Lamar Jackson went into Houston and went 10 for 15 with 168 yards with 2 touchdowns. Derrick Henry also went crazy with 27 carries and 147 yards and 1 touchdown. And C.J. Stroud went 17 for 31 with 185 yards and 1 interception. But yeah, these Christmas games were terrible. Like we know Christmas games belong to the NBA, Thanksgiving games belong to the NFL. These were by far snoozers.
Yeah, they were.
Straight up snoozers. I'm sure the ratings did horrible that day, but yeah, I couldn't believe my eyes because it's like the teams we were watching, it's not like they were trash. You know?
But it wasn't a good matchup.
Yeah,
that's all it was. It just wasn't a good matchup. But I guess it's hard to tell what it's going to be when you make the schedule.
Mm-hmm.
You're really not sure what, so it just happened to fall that way. But we had now this was another one I was like, really? Like, it was really hard to even try to watch as the Seahawks. I mean, they were against the Bears. The score was 6-3. Like, the Seahawks beat the Bears 6-3. Like, really?
Yeah, this is actually, people are calling this the worst Thursday night football game ever. The worst Thursday night football game ever. I might even go as far as to say this might be the worst primetime game ever, just in general.
All sports.
Yeah, 6-3, pretty boring game unless you really, really, really love defense. But I can't even say that because, the Bears are just that bad of a team. I'm waiting on them to do better. I thought this would be the season they did a little better, not even necessarily make the playoffs. I thought they would at least, win at least six games though, and that's not gonna happen this year. But Geno Smith went 17 for 23, 17 for 23 with 160 yards, and Caleb Williams was 16 for 28 with 122 yards and 1 pick. But the Seahawks, they did what they had to do. It wasn't a pretty win, but they got it, and they going to the playoffs. They just, a win's a win at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But
they needed to win.
Yeah, so. But also they got to do better. They're going to the playoffs.
I don't think they're going to be in the playoffs long.
They can't play like this. So if they play like this in the playoffs, they're gonna get humbled real quick.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna be in there long, but at least they made it. Now the Chargers really, you didn't really have to beat up on the Patriots that bad. The Chargers went in there and just like mollywopped the Patriots as they beat them 40-7.
I don't know where this Chargers team was when they played the Buccaneers, a couple games ago, but I'm still thinking about that. So many things could have went well for us, but Anyway, Justin Herbert, 26 for 38, 281 yards and 3 touchdowns. Drake May went 12 for 22 with 117 yards and 1 touchdown. And Ladd McConkey had 8 receptions for 94 yards and 2 touchdowns. And J.K. Dobbins, 19 carries for 76 yards and 1 touchdown. Drake May and the Patriots just were not able to do anything against the Chargers. Ladd and J.K. definitely made it easy for Justin Herbert, scoring when they had to and just being dangerous on offense. I think the Chargers offense is going to be real scary for years to come, honestly, because It's the first time this group has been together, and they have been, playing real fluid all season. And I'm excited to see what they can do in the playoffs.
Yeah,
honestly, they sit at 10-6, and I think they could be a sleeper team.
Yeah,
Like
they
a dark
look
horse
pretty good. I mean, hey, they was playing the Patriots, but they still
Yeah,
look good.
but
They still look
don't
good.
sleep on the Chargers.
Yeah.
I feel like they could do something. They can shot people.
So the Bengals. I mean, the Bengals and Broncos. That was a good game. Both, decent teams. The Bengals always find a way to win when they need to, as they inch past the Broncos 30-24.
Yeah, the Bengals doing all they can to make the playoffs. They're not quite in the clear yet. Well, that's all going to be determined by next week. But the Bengals are still alive for the playoff hunt as they sit at 8-8, which is not a pretty record. But who knows? They're still alive, so that's something. Broncos are 9-7 now, but Bo Nix with 24 for 31, 219 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Another good game from him. Despite not getting the win, but it's just been an incredible rookie season from him. Marvin Mims Jr. had 8 receptions for 103 yards and 2 touchdowns. But Joe Burrow and the Bengals were just way too much, as him and T. Higgins connected for 3 touchdowns. Jamar Chase had 102 yards and 9 receptions. And but people are saying that Kansas City scared of Cincinnati because you saw the Chiefs, they sitting their starters out, against Denver next week, and if Denver wins, Denver beat Kansas City, then the Bengals are going home. So.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Okay, so that's almost the situation y'all.
Yeah, same situation.
I got you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well. Those doggone Rams. And like you said, I have a soft spot in my heart for Matthew Stafford, our once quarterback. And the Rams, are they still rolling? And it's so funny because I have a soft spot for Stafford, but I really don't want to see him in the playoffs. But they're doing what they're supposed to do. Is the Rams roll past the Cardinals 13-9.
Yeah, they sure do. Another defensive game. Kyler Murray went 33 for 48, 321 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions. Hasn't been the best season for him. Hasn't been the best season for the Cardinals in general. They have really had it rough. They're sitting at 7-9. The playoff hopes were done a couple games ago, but Trey McBride had 12 receptions and 123 yards and 1 touchdown, and Matthew Stafford went 17 for 32 with only 189 yards, and most of their success was coming from the ground game. As Kyron Williams had a touchdown, and he had 56 yards with 13 carries, but Puka Nacua had 10 receptions for 129 yards, and so, not the Chargers, but the Rams did just enough to get this win. There's another team that's, like I said about the Chargers, another team that can be dangerous in the playoffs.
Oh yeah, definitely. If Stafford's in it and he's healthy, watch out. Mm-hmm. You can't count him out. Now the doggone Eagles. Now, it really didn't matter because the Eagles, like I said, our race right in the NFC now is between us and the Vikings. The Eagles, when they lost last week, kind of took themselves out a little bit. The Cowboys, who we was raving about last week, turned up this week to be the Cowboys that we know. As the Eagles, demolished them 41-7.
Yeah, definitely demolished. The good old rival game. You know how these games are. I'm sure the Eagles, even though they knew they were going to the playoffs, they still wanted nothing more than to destroy Dallas. Cooper Rush went 15 for 28, 147 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions. Rico Dowdle had 23 carries for 104 yards. There just wasn't nearly enough to beat Philly. And Kenny Pickett did his thing, filling in for Jalen Hurts, 10 for 15, 143 yards, and 1 touchdown. Saquon Barkley, 31 carries, 167 yards. He's getting close to Eric Dickerson's record. That's going to be something.
But I heard he might not play next week. I know it's been a lot of talk going back and forth. I even actually posted on my Lions page and had to converse with this other Lions fan. Not even worth talking about. But I mean, with some of the guys, I asked the question, if he was to break Dickerson's record, should it be an asterisk? If he break it next week, and Dickerson broke it with 16 games, I guess, with a bye included, should it be an asterisk next to his name if it takes him 18 games with the bye to break it? And so some of the people that replied, which I'm glad I posed the question, because some of the people gave me something else to think about, that it's about the carries.
Yeah.
Because even though it may take him 18 games, including the bye, which is 17 games, he had less carries than Dickerson. So I'm not sure the exact number, but I think it's almost like Dickerson did it in 379 carries and Barkley is at 341 carries. So basically they saying it shouldn't be an asterisk if he do it under the current carry. So that's good.
Yeah, you know, we'll definitely see. We'll definitely see what happens. I mean, but I'm sure Saquon loves it here a lot. You know, since leaving them Giants, man, because you know they weren't doing anything.
No.
But just handing him the ball, we're giving him an O-line. He was getting hurt there, but as soon as he come to Philly, you know, he's having a career year. And we always knew he was like this, but you know, once he got in that right offensive system, we knew he was going to be even more dangerous. But Devontae Smith also had 6 receptions for 120 yards and 2 touchdowns. So just another dominant performance by the Philly offense. You know, not a shock there, especially when they're playing one of the league's worst teams this year. So, yeah.
Yeah, they're not.
A tough loss for Dallas. You know, y'all knew that was going.
Yeah, you know, I mean, they just playing out their schedule anyway, so it don't even matter. But the Buccaneers, just breathe.
The NFC South champs.
The Buccaneers. I mean, this is like how y'all gonna be next week? As the Buccaneers just came in, just ran over the Panthers, 48-14.
Yeah, you know, obviously this is a game we wanted Carolina to win, but we knew Carolina wasn't going to win unless it was just by the grace of God. We knew they were going to need them, and the score definitely tells us that. That's the only way we put up 2 touchdowns, and by the way, 2 of the touchdowns came by, you know, one of the oldest players on the team, and Adam Thielen. You know, I know you remember that, Adam Thielen.
Mm-hmm.
Vikings, respect for the Vikings, and but he had 5 receptions, 110 yards, and 2 touchdowns, and you know he had himself a day. But you know, if you took the score away, you know he really had himself a day. But it just wasn't nearly enough to beat Tampa. Bryce Young went 15 for 28 with 203 yards and 2 touchdowns. One of his best games of the season, as he's just been getting more comfortable, and you know next year will be his 3rd year, and I know that I feel like he's gonna have a breakout year. You know, these seasons that we saw these rookie quarterbacks have, I feel like Bryce Young's gonna hit that. Gonna be a late bloomer. He's gonna click in his career. And but Baker Mayfield went 27 for 32 with 359 yards and 5 touchdowns. Just another crazy game from Baker. You know, a performance like this just lets me know it's over. Because ain't no way the ain't to beat a guy like this. You know, Baker, it's not. Baker is on fire right now. Mike Evans had 8 receptions for 97 yards and 2 touchdowns, one of the league's best wide receivers. Yeah, good luck, New Orleans.
They might not even. Okay.
Good luck, whatever. Or should I say good luck in Atlanta? New Orleans don't care. They know they losing. They cool with losing. They want to lose. It's really good luck in Atlanta, but you know.
Okay, you're gonna be shocked.
I won't.
But those Bills, well, they keep still doing what they're doing, and you know, but the Jets is like playing the Patriots. They're like the homecoming game. If you're in high school, you want to play that sorry team for homecoming. Well, the Jets and the Patriots seem to be those kind of teams, and so the Bills came in and beat up on the Patriots. They beat up on the Jets, because I'll say they're the same team. 40-14.
Yeah, just another game like the Eagles and Cowboys game was. You know, a little easy win for the playoff team, and another hard loss for the team on the other side. You know, the Jets, another one of the league's worst teams this season. The Bills, you know, had basically an off day because it was just such an easy team to play. Aaron Rodgers had another hard game, 12 for 18, 112 yards and 2 interceptions. This is by far the worst season I've ever seen Aaron Rodgers have in his career. I don't know if this is due to age. I don't know if it's age or if it's just the fact that Jets are just that bad.
It's a team. I think it's a team. I'm not an Aaron Rodgers fan. I'm not an Aaron Rodgers fan, but I think it's really the team. Because I can't see him being that awful.
But it's like I feel like the best quarterback.
We have a lot of incompletions.
Put Tom Brady or Drew Brees or in the system, I don't think they do this bad.
But is he like weekly? Is he averaging a lot of incompletions?
Incompletions, that's going to happen, but the interceptions have definitely been racking up going on.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
The past 2 games were pretty decent for them. You know, I feel like those were the best games that the Jets had all season, was the past few weeks. But other than that, no, it's been nothing but just hard performances by this team. You know, it's really been hard. And Jets fans had a lot of hope for them, but No, they're still doing horrible. But Garrett Wilson had 7 receptions for 66 yards and a touchdown. They tried, but there was only so much they could do against the Bills. You know, the Bills are just
the Bills.
That's a Super Bowl favorite.
Yeah.
Josh Allen went 16 for 27, 182 yards and 2 touchdowns, and it was just a light game for him. You know, he could have definitely did more than that, but you know, he didn't have to try.
Like, okay, put it this way, playing devil's advocate. Do you think that Aaron Rodgers on the Falcons would have showed a different result as Aaron Rodgers on the Jets?
Yes.
Okay, so it's the team. That's what I'm saying.
Aaron Rodgers is light years above Kirk Cousins. So.
Right, so that's what I'm saying. I think it's more the team. Okay, well, oh, my little G's. You know, y'all been my little G's all week. You Giants, you came up and you did it as they beat the Colts 45-33.
Yeah, this is a game that really didn't matter. Probably mattered for Indianapolis, I guess, if they wanted to have a slim chance of making the playoffs. I guess they got to win this game, but I don't even think they were going to have that opportunity anyway. And it's definitely done now as they lose to the New York Giants, and their season. I mean, the Giants season been over, but the Colts season is now. Colts season is now officially over. Joe Flacco went 26 for 38, 330 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. Jonathan Taylor had 32 carries for 125 yards and 2 touchdowns. And it's crazy to say, but it wasn't enough to beat the Giants. That's wild.
To beat the Giants. When I saw the score going up, I'm like, the Giants is kicking butt. This is crazy. Yeah.
And Alec Pierce also had 6 receptions for 122 yards and 1 touchdown. But, you know, as great as those stats sound, or as good enough as they sound, they weren't good enough to beat the Giants. And Drew Lock went 17 for 23 with 309 yards and 4 touchdowns, while Malik Neighbors, one of the best young wide receivers in the league right now, had 7 receptions for 171 yards and 2 touchdowns. Another rookie that I feel like, you know, it's gonna be a problem. You know, this rookie class has been amazing. You know, no matter the position, but yeah, you know, Giants got the win. I'm sure Giants fans are happy. They got something to cheer about. It don't matter, but you don't want to end. I guess you want to, if you know you're not making the playoffs, you at least want to win the last couple games, unless you really care for that draft pick.
And you pick and proving my point once again. I hate to keep going back to it. Yeah, the Saints last game of the season, they gonna want to win.
Oh no,
let's hope they.
If it wasn't us, they would probably win. But it's us.
Keep hope alive. It's okay. Well, this is the team that you know, did what we didn't want them to do. They beat the doggone Packers 27-25. That is going to set up the game of the week for next week. It is my Detroit Lions against the Minnesota Vikings for all the marbles in the NFC. But yeah, this week, yeah, they did. They beat the Packers 27-25.
Yeah, it was a very, very fun game. You know, for it's only a 2-point deficit. You know, besides the Detroit Lions, these are 2 of the top teams in the NFC North. Between the Packers and the Vikings, Jordan Love went 19 for 30, 180 yards and 1 touchdown. Sam Darnold, 33 for 43, 377 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Justin Jefferson had 8 receptions for 92 yards. You know, this is just a game. This is just a game. What is it? Capture the Lion. You know, they trying to catch up to Detroit. Me and the Packers are officially, you know, they were out of it, but the Vikings, they still got that. They still got that chance.
Yeah,
they still got that chance.
Yeah, here it is. So they have to come on. All roads is gonna go to Detroit. But you know what? I feel we got this. So you know, Vikings, we ready. Well, we still didn't talk about this, so I'm gonna run with it. Now we coming to our most exciting part of the show. It's the You Did That for week 17. Now, as last week, me and my partner didn't converse. I wasn't really sure what to do, which team really to pick. And one thing about it, you know, with our show is that even though we don't like you, we still want to be fair. So I thought that for this week, we only got 1 more week after this week. Definitely wasn't going to give it to them next week. But we only got 1 more week after this week. So I thought for the You Did That, to be fair, I'm going to give it to the team that even though I don't like them, they have consistently stayed on top the whole season. They have consistently, even though it might have been by field goal, even though it might have been by a
You saying
touchdown.
them?
What can we say? To be honest, don't like them, but they have, for 17 weeks straight, held that top position. So even though it pains me to say, I'm going to give our week 17, you did that to none other than the Kansas City Chiefs. That's all I got. That's all. The Kansas.
I could pick some losers I'd rather give it to than them. But I guess that's fair. I mean,
It's fair. We don't want to do it, so we got to do it with energy. We're going to come back. We're not going to be pity about it. So, the week 17, you did that. Goes to the team that has won the championship 2 years in a row, vying to go for the three-peat, which I've only ever seen in basketball. But they're vying for the three-peat. The Lions, we feel we have something to say about that. But you did that for week 17. Goes to none other than the Kansas City Chiefs. We're going to give it to you because you stayed on top. Good, bad, and ugly. You have found ways to win. You only lost one game. So, to the Kansas City Chiefs, led by none other than Patrick Mahomes, you did that for week 17. So, now, well, that's the end of our show. Next week, it's going to look a lot different. We're going to have a lot to say. This is the last full episode we got. We might be able to come to y'all a little earlier because all we're going to have is playoff teams. So, we're not going to have to do the rundown for everybody. So, join us next week. Please click like and subscribe. Have a great week. Happy New Year. We will see you next week on DNA.
Oh, Raheem Morris, make sure you watch the Georgia game today so you know how to call a timeout.
Stop it. See you next week on DNA. Bye.